Everything in my soul, everything that doesn't belong there, where does that go? And in the long run, can I continue to live with it?
They came to the other side of the sea, to the territory of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, at once a man from the tombs who had an unclean spirit met him. The man had been dwelling among the tombs, and no one could restrain him any longer, even with a chain. In fact, he had frequently been bound with shackles and chains, but the chains had been pulled apart by him and the shackles smashed, and no one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day, among the tombs and on the hillsides, he was always crying out and bruising himself with stones.
The man is possessed by an unclean spirit and lives among the tombs. That which really should not be there is hidden from sight, dead and buried. But you cannot control it even with chains. The unrest remains. It destroys everything. It makes you sick. It tears you apart, and the others are swept along. Jesus has just left the boat and steps onto the shore, and immediately the man who is possessed comes to him. He who is filled with the Holy Spirit, a spirit that warms, makes whole, builds, and brings rest.
Catching sight of Jesus from a distance, he ran up and prostrated himself before him, crying out in a loud voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." He had been saying to him, "Unclean spirit, come out of the man." He asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "Legion is my name. There are many of us." And he pleaded earnestly with him not to drive them away from that territory. Now a large herd of swine was feeding there on the hillside, and they pleaded with him, "Send us into the swine, let us enter them." And he let them, and the unclean spirits came out and entered the swine. The herd of about 2,000 rushed down a steep bank into the sea, where they were drowned.
What do you have to do with me, Jesus, Son of God? I swear to you by the living God, do not torment me. Don't torment me. I really want to be healed. I long for healing, but I'm so afraid that nothing of me will remain. It would be better to stick with the old and familiar, even if that is bad, than not to be able to do anything with the new. Am I once again to be wounded in my weakness? Jesus, Son of God. No one has said that yet. An unclean spirit knows this, but of Jesus' own disciples not one says that. They don't know that. What is your name? Who are you at the core of your being? Without your wall of protection, without your mask, without your fears and anger, without legion, these are those things that don't really belong to me.
The swineherds ran away and reported the incident in the town and throughout the countryside, and people came out to see what had happened. As they approached Jesus, they caught sight of the man who had been possessed by Legion, sitting there clothed and in his right mind, and they were seized with fear. Those who witnessed the incident explained to them what had happened to the possessed man and to the swine, and they began to beg him to leave their district.
The swineherds tell other people in the town and the countryside. Swineherds, insignificant people, trash, heathens. This insignificant bunch of people is going to proclaim the gospel. The people come to Jesus. They come closer and they see the possessed one sitting there, clothed and clear of mind. That's never happened before. A man clothed with dignity, who is no longer unkempt, because Jesus has lifted him up. Unbelievable, but true. Is this really possible? Can you trust this? Is that man Jesus trustworthy? Does it not all really come too close to me?
As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed pleaded to remain with him. But he would not permit him, but told him instead, "Go home to your family and announce to them all that the Lord in his mercy has done for you." Then the man went off and began to proclaim in the Decapolis what Jesus had done for him, and all were amazed.
Go home to your loved ones. A healed person is sent back to the place he came from. Tell other people what the Lord has done in his mercy. Let it sound everywhere and touch everyone.